What is going on, everybody? Quick little video today, a different kind of video I haven't done in a while, but today I'm going to be doing my best Broken Games HD impression because we are going to be doing an unboxing of the Sega Saturn 2.4 gigahertz wireless Pro controller compatible with the Sega Saturn, PC, Mac, and Switch. This is not a Bluetooth wireless controller. You do need a 2.4 gigahertz dongle. It comes with one for the PC and one for the Saturn. Now, before we even get into this, probably have some people questioning credibility like they always do. So, as we all know, I've been gaming since probably most people here were born. We do have the original Genesis Mega Drive controller. Well, I won't say the original because this one doesn't have the red accents on it. That would be the original one. I also do have the 6-button controller for those people that got the Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition that didn't want to hit start to switch between. And we have the original Saturn controller, which I do to this day still think that is the best D-pad ever on a controller, but my problems with the Saturn controller are these non-distinctive shoulder buttons and the overall lightness of the controller. Just for other comparisons, I know this isn't an official Sega controller, but I do love this controller. The Sega 8-Bito M20 controller. This controller is absolutely fabulous. I love the shoulder buttons. I love the buttons. The D-pad is not as good, but it is very good. But I really do like this controller. And if you still need some more proof about things, and we got the Model 2 Sega Genesis alongside the Sega CD. And if you're wondering, hey Bond, what about the Saturn? Did you ever play that? Late on the game, but yes, I still do own a Sega Saturn with the nice little cart on the top, which lets you burn games and play any game you want. Anybody complaining? Well, guess what? Nobody sells Sega Saturn games anymore. The Sega Saturn has been out of print, so emulating and downloading games for it is not hurting anybody. If you want to know how you can play with the Sega Saturn on this controller, simple. You just pop it in, boom. Wireless dongle, wireless Sega Saturn gameplay. Now, on to the actual controller. This controller was one I was waiting for a while, but one I also did not think was going to be good, but Retrobit definitely proved themselves to me in making a quality, great controller. The size is great. The heft is a lot better than the original Saturn controller. It has all the buttons. The D-pad, from what I can tell, is more or less 90-95% the same. It's a little bit higher than what I would have liked, but maybe that's because this is a brand new controller and maybe the older Saturn controllers are more recessed in because they've been used or worn in. I don't know, but I'm not exactly that picky. The shoulder buttons are way better. You kind of get like little recessed triggers in the back and much more high quality shoulder buttons on the side, but you also get analog sticks. Magnetic analog sticks at that, so you don't have to ever worry about having Joy-Con drift. And that's the closest analog stick I can compare it to would be a Joy-Con because they're of similar size, but the Joy-Con is probably a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to work with, and not as micro sized. But let's be real, people. If you're using this controller, you're probably not going to be playing a game that enables or you want to use analog sticks for, but it's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. Now, if you want to see what the controller size looks like compared to the standard Saturn controller, they are pretty much similar and pretty much the same. The only difference being is the shoulder buttons up at the top and the analog sticks over at the bottom. More or less, they're pretty much basically the same controller. Lighter, better D-pad by a little bit, weaker shoulder buttons. This one is much more solid, analog stick, better shoulder buttons. Button presses are pretty much nearly identical. So if you want a brand new Sega Saturn controller or a Genesis controller, the only two options I would recommend right now are the Sega M20 or get yourself a Saturn Pro controller. Now, maybe you want to get a Saturn controller from Retrobit that doesn't have the analogs. I would recommend that too. But like I said, Better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. So overall, I like this controller. I've been messing around with it. I've been playing Fire Emblem with it. I've been playing Street Fighter with it. I've been playing Mega Man with it. I've had no issues with it. I mean, you really can't use the analog on the Saturn for too many games. I mean, Nights into Dreams, Sonic 3D Dash, couple other games, but really the Saturn didn't get too much love as far as 3D games go. But once again, solid controller, $50, comes in this color, black, and comes in the Japanese gray variant that has the blue, yellow, and green buttons on the bottom. My name is Black Bond. If you ever want to see other controller unboxings, you ever want me to talk about other controllers from 8BitDo or Retrobit, I like these controllers a lot. I have the Neo Geo ones, I have the Super Nintendo ones. I mean, I like to play games with their actual native controller. That's just how I am. I mean, I know you can use an Xbox controller or you can use a PlayStation controller and play everything, but when I like to play on Neo Geo games, I like to use the Neo Geo pad. If I like to play a Genesis or a Sega game, I like that 6-button controller. If I like to play a JRPG or a Super Nintendo game, I like to use a Super Nintendo controller. I just like to use the controller that makes it feel like it was when I originally played it upon release. Maybe some of you don't get it. Maybe some of you will. Maybe some of you won't. It is what it is. It's just my personal preference. I'm Black Bond. I'll catch you guys next time. Enjoy your week and enjoy your holiday.